I wanted to get to this fellow, though, because he's one of the best. Jordan Reid joins us, ESPN College Football, NFL draft analyst. Took a look at Shador before, took a look at Shador maybe on Sunday. How do we get the nose up on this thing? And should we just be focused on 2026? And if we are focused on 2026, already is there somebody that is a can't miss for the Cleveland Browns? Jordan Reid joins us right now on the Fan Hotline. Jordan, thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
What did you think of Shador coming out of the draft? Because, again, I try to follow along with what you do, but sometimes I just need a refresher. What did you think of Shador coming out of the draft? And then did you get a chance to get your eyes on anything he did on Sunday?
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was hard to miss with all the debates that's going on with Shador. But coming out of Colorado, I thought he was a very good player. He was really productive during his time in Colorado, really accurate. That really was his calling card. He led the FBS in completion percentage with 74% his final year. So we knew he was really accurate. But the one thing that I thought he always needed to work on was just the drifting in the pocket and then taking bad sacks, which is some of the things that you saw pop up this past Sunday against the Ravens. So still some of those warts are still there, but let's see how he does with the week of practice as the full-time starter, the QB1. And I'm interested to see how it goes this week for him.
Yeah, well, obviously, we're in a very different, bizarre situation. We've had so many people come on and talk with us, just Brian Hoyer moments ago, about the Browns taking two quarterbacks, one in the third, one in the fifth, and now they've both played already, and the season is going down a very, very bad path. So that's why I think a lot of people have tried to get the bearings on what Shador should have been coming out, because some people have said his last name helped him. Some people have said his last name hurt him when it came to the draft. What did you think about all of that as it played out?
Well, I think what I would say is he had a lot of pressure on him. I will say that whenever you're the son of an NFL Hall of Famer, you're always going to have extra eyes on you. So I will say that one thing about him. So he obviously was a huge polarizing prospect. You can believe whatever you wanted to believe during the pre-draft process. We'll really never know the truth with all of that stuff. But if we're just focusing on what he is with the Cleveland Browns, I think we're exactly about to find that out. And honestly, I think the season is going, as far as the quarterback rotation, is going as planned with what the Cleveland Browns wanted to do. And what I mean by that is, coming into the season with four quarterbacks, everybody knew that Joe Flacco was going to be the guy coming into the year. But I always knew that either it was him or Kenny Pickett as far as somebody that wasn't going to be there once the season started. That's exactly what happened with Kenny Pickett being gone. But now they had to figure out what they had in both of these guys, in Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders, just because with you having two first-round draft picks, everybody knows that they're probably going to draft a quarterback coming into the season, is what I meant. You had to figure out what you had with those two guys. But now, if you figure out that you don't have anything in either one of those guys, now it's very clear what you need to do in 2026. So that's why I said the season, even though it's been a disastrous season, the quarterback rotation is really going as how I thought it was going to be planned out, just because they want to uncover what they have in both of these guys. It's still yet to be seen what they have in Shador, even though the early returns haven't been promising as far as what he showed against the Ravens. But now let's see what he has as far as that. That's where you alter your draft plans moving forward.
Jordan, did you have any thoughts that Dylan Gabriel could be a starter in this league?
No, I always thought he was going to be a backup just because he doesn't have the necessary arm strength. I saw that at Oregon. Even though he was very accurate, he played on time, I just didn't think he had enough arm strength consistently to be a starter on the next level. So, we're still seeing those things play out during his time as a starter in Cleveland, and you can see the lack of arm strength that really has popped up during his time as a starter. So, I just never thought he had the adequate enough arm strength to consistently be a starter. And I thought they drafted him way too early as well. I had him graded as a sixth-round prospect. That's where I had him graded, and they ended up taking him in round 3. So I thought it was much earlier than what I thought he was going to go.
What, Tone?
Sixth round.
That's
we drafted him in the top 100,
I
Jordan.
didn't draft anything. Don't say we.
We drafted him in the top 100, and you're saying you had him graded out as a sixth-rounder. And the thing is, I've heard more people say they had him where Jordan had him than where the Browns had him.
Yeah, that's true. Jordan, let me ask you this, though. You said you think the season's going how the Browns planned on the season going. You don't condone the season going this way, do you?
No, I meant as far as the quarterback rotation. Not saying they're out there throwing games or losing games. They would never do that.
No,
what I'm saying is, as far as the quarterback rotation, I think it's going as how they wanted it to plan out, if that makes sense. So basically what I'm saying is, you know what you have in Joe Flacco. He's that stable, older veteran that you're hoping can give you some type of stability. With Kenny Pickett, he's that backup plan behind Joe Flacco. But what I'm saying is, they had to figure out what they had in both of these rookies. Just because you have two first-round picks, you need to know if you need to draft a quarterback in 2026. So it's clear as day what they have in Dylan Gabriel already. Now they're about to find out what they have in Shador Sanders, and that's going to clear up everything as far as what they need to do in 2026.
All right, speaking of grades, where is Fernando Mendoza for you? You got a chance to see him up close and personal in Happy Valley a few weeks ago. He was shaky in that game, but with the game on the line, had a magnificent drive. I imagine you have him as a first-round grade right now, and talk about that experience.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first time in Happy Valley experience in Penn State, and it's just amazing how they were 3-5 at the time. Still 106,000 people showed up for the game. So it was as good of an environment as I've ever experienced. And I love seeing quarterbacks in that type of atmosphere. I always thought it was going to be a really good game just because even though the season hasn't gone as planned for Penn State, they're still really talented defensively. They have quite a few guys that are still going to be drafted on that side of the ball as well. So athletically and then schematically, it was going to be a very challenging game for Fernando Mendoza. Now, that's not to say I saw them almost getting within a drive of pulling off the upset, but I just thought a lot of things that we saw in that game went as planned for him. And I didn't think he played well in the first three quarters, honestly, and then he picked it up with that late fourth quarter drive. But those are the type of situations that you love to see him in. And he's a guy that has, I would say, B-level arm strength. It's not going to wow you, but he's so accurate, man. Like, he can throw the ball to all three levels of the field. You saw it on that last drive. He can throw it in the seams. He can throw it over the middle of the field. He really excels throwing the ball outside of the numbers as well. He loves giving his guys what I call faith throws, those one-on-one catches outside. He has no problem throwing balls in that area. But just the calm and cool, collected demeanor that he displayed in that fourth quarter drive, I thought that was just phenomenal. And that's definitely a huge mental note that I took about him. But the most impressive part to me is just his efficiency in the red zone. So over the past two seasons, counting his time at Cal, he has 32 touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the red zone. Yes, believe it or not, 32 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. So that just goes to show you just how efficient he is in the red zone. And then when it's money time, he understands what he has to do to win the game.
Jordan Reid joining us on the show. What about how he reads defenses? What about the anticipatory throws? Because, you know, we hear a lot about when we had Brandon Weeden here. This is a long time ago, Jordan. But when we had Brandon Weeden, he's so accurate. Now we have Shador. He's so accurate. It's like, well, if you can't get rid of the ball, if you can't come off the read and make another one, if you can't find the right read in the first place, your accuracy is going to do us no good. You're just going to go get hit. What about the throws when it comes to being able to anticipate windows, tight windows, and obviously being able to make the reads?
Yeah, I mean, he's able to do all that stuff very efficiently, and we've seen it even going back this time at Cal. I thought he was still very good in that area. Now, of course, he still needed to prove it at Indiana, but I think that's the toughest part about really grading these quarterbacks in the transition. In my honest opinion, you don't know how these guys are going to transition just because everybody's process is different. You don't know some of the things that they're being asked to do and if that aligns with the system that they're going to be running schematically. So I will say, I think Fernando Mendoza compares very favorably to a lot of quarterbacks that Stefanski has had success with prior to his time in Cleveland. And you're going to hear the name Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff tagged a lot with Fernando Mendoza. I definitely think he has a lot of similar traits to both of those guys. And we've seen Kirk have plenty of success during his time with Stefanski.
I know, Jordan, we're so far away from solidifying all the rankings. There's going to be a lot more data points, including the combine. How many first-round grades? Everybody talks about how disappointing this class has turned out. How many first-round grades will you have, do you think?
So I'm actually releasing my top 50 big board this upcoming Friday.
Want to scoop yourself?
I think I have 16 first-round grades
total
right now. So, I mean, so total. So that's right around the magic number. That's about the average number, honestly. But I will say there isn't a lot of marquee talent at the top of this year's draft. But once you get into, like that 12 to 25 range, I definitely think there's going to be a lot more comfort about where a lot of these guys go.
Ty Simpson, Dante Moore, real quick, is there anything rotting from within to those two guys?
I mean, Ty Simpson, he's a bit undersized. I saw him against South Carolina earlier this year. He's going to come in at about 6'1".
He dropped.
Quarterbacks in this year's class, and then also some others that we have seen in years past, but the accuracy is really good. Some of the things that he's asked to do, he's definitely on a pro level. He's the son of a coach as well. So as far as see, read, and reacting in a timely manner, he definitely is able to do that. Didn't play well this past weekend against Oklahoma. So once again, like those data points that you love to point to, it's just another data point in his draft portfolio. But ball security is something that he definitely needs to clean up. And then also just understanding when to give up on plays. He just tries to extend plays a little bit too much, and he's not that overly great athlete like we've seen in years past. So quick synopsis on Ty Simpson, and then Dante Moore, who's actually my favorite quarterback in this year's class. Even though he's only started 15 games, I just think he's so natural as a passer. But again, the sample size is really small with him, but I definitely think he has the makings and the traits of being a top 5 pick. But he still has 2 years left of eligibility, so he could elect to come back. And I definitely think Uncle Phil Knight is going to be very competitive with getting him back to Eugene.
All right, 15. I know you're pressed for time. I got to ask Lenor Seller, should he go back or should he come out?
He should go back to school. I just think he's just such a huge project right now, and I've seen him about 4 times now up close. Every bit of 6'3", 240, 245 pounds. If you were making a creative player on Madden, he definitely would be the player that you would want him to look like. But he's just not seeing the field well right now. Now, it's not all his fault. South Carolina doesn't have great surroundings outside of Nick Harbor. Offensive line has been absolutely awful this season. So there's a lot of variables that go into his failures this year. And then, of course, they fired a play caller as well prior to last week's game. So there's a lot of variables that go into why he hasn't succeeded this year. But I just think he's far from ready to be a pro right now.
The great Jordan Reid. Jordan, we thank you very much for the time. We know you're pressed for it. All the best. Hope to talk to you again soon after the football season.
Thank you guys for having me.
Jordan Reid on the Fan Hotline, ESPN. I agree with him totally on Lenor Sellers. I was worried about Lenor Sellers. I think that if I were him, I'd probably hit the portal and probably go find a better offensive line to play behind. I don't know if Shane Beamer's the right one down there. I'm worried about him. Worried about him taking hits. He is. I mean, you're 245. You're a big boy.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about that.
Simpson, undersized, and Dante Moore is his QB1. I know things can change, but Dante Moore, after he saw Mendoza in person orchestrate that incredible drive in that frenzied environment with blitzes and NFL guys coming after him all over that defense, he still says Dante Moore number 1.